Everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. I'm going to talk to you about sewing machine needles. So let's take a look at this little diagram that I drew of a needle. I'm not a great artist, but I think you'll get the idea. So there is definitely a front and a back to a needle. So the front of the needle up here, it's curved, so it's not flat at all. And that faces towards you, faces towards the front of the machine. That's the part of the needle you're looking at. Then if you turn it over on the back, it's very flat. That goes towards the back of the machine. So right here, this section here is called the shaft. It's the thickest part. Now, you don't need to remember all these names. One of the things you need to be aware of is when you look real close at a needle, it's very fine, hard to see it, there's a groove down here. And when your thread comes down through the front of the needle, it fits in that groove and then goes through the eye of the needle going towards the back. If your thread is too large or too small in this groove, it's going to create a lot of stitching problems for you. So the needle size and the type of needle you use depends on the characteristics of the fabric you want to use. When you buy your sewing machine needles, there's a little numbering system that's on each packet, and that represents the size. The numbers, the first number you see is the European size, which is in millimeters, and then you have the American size. So it's listed like this. It has 60/8. So the numbers up here at the top are the real small needles. Then they progressively get bigger farther down the list. So the lower the number, the finer and thinner the thread, and the higher the number, the thicker the thread is. So when you're using a fine thread with a large needle, you're stitching along, it'll look like you're having a tension problem, and it won't look very nice. So when you're sewing with a thick thread with a small needle, you will have missed stitches and broken thread, and it also looks like a tension problem. So when you're having symptoms like this, before you start resetting all your tension and stitch length and everything else, you've got everything all messed up on your machine, make sure that you've got the correct needle and the correct thread. So this is the brand of needles that I use, and the reason why I use it is it's easy for me to get in my local Walmart store. Do they have all the sizes? No. So sometimes I have to purchase them elsewhere. But this is a chart that you can print out from their website. If you don't use this brand, then look at the website of the brand that you're using, and they probably have a chart in there. So on this chart is a description of the color bands that are on your needle. So the top band is the kind of fabric you're working with. The bottom band is the needle size that you should be using. So there's all this cross-referencing on this chart. I recommend you get a copy of this. It's easy to print off their website and store it away. So for your lightweight fabrics like this netting and this little chiffon type of fabric, this is the needle that you need to use. And other fabrics that require this needle size are your crepe, toile, chiffon, organza, voile, net, gauze, and your silk. For your medium weight fabrics, and this is the size you need to use, and medium weight fabrics, here's some samples of some of them, are your quilting cotton, your satin. Now, by the way, I don't have samples of all of these fabrics. And then your jersey like this, seersucker, poplin, rayon, broadcloth, knit linen, elastic, gingham, and velvet. I don't work a lot with your really heavy fabrics, but here is a sample of one of them, which would be vinyl. So I do use clear vinyl on some of my projects. And this is the size needle. But to give you an example of other fabric types are heavy denim, upholstery, corduroy, tweed, canvas. On a light canvas, I don't worry about it. I'll use like a mid-weight needle. And then you have oilcloth, velour, wool, and leather. Now, I've never worked with really, really heavy-duty fabric, but in case you do, your extra heavyweight fabrics are leather, upholstery fabric, and extra heavier denim. I mostly work with mid-weight fabrics. I'm the most comfortable with those. And this is again the Schmetz needles. And the size that I use are the size 90-14. And I buy them in the package where that's all that's in it. It's just the 90-14. And often I will buy 2 or 3 of these at a time because I sew a lot. So if you are using one particular needle type, it's to your advantage to buy them where they're all the same size in the package. Sometimes all you can find are the packages of needles that have a variety of sizes. Those are okay to get if you think you're going to be working on a lot of different things, but I think it's best to buy them where they're all the same size in one package. There's going to be times where you're going to be on 2 different projects using different types of fabric on them. So you're having to change needles a lot. What I like to do is get something like this. This particular thing's called a needle nest. I don't remember where I got it, but there's all kinds of things like this. It's a little magnetic tray. And when you've used a needle, you don't want to put back in the package that you bought it in, because then you're not going to know which one you've used. So you can set them inside here. And that, remember, it's got the little color coding on it. So all you have to do is keep track of what the color code is. When you used a needle too much, it's worn out, it's going to have a clunky sound. As you're stitching, it's going to go thud, 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 thud. So it's time to throw it out. Someone told me if you use a needle 8 hours, that's maybe you're sewing 1 hour, 1.5 hours a day. By the end of the week, that needle, you've got to toss it out and replace it with a new needle. So once you have printed out your code sheet for the needles, I highly advise you that you put it into a notebook like this. I use those little plastic sheets that you can put paper in, and I've got all kinds of things in it about different types of stitching, decorative stitching, hem stitching, and it's called my stitch notes. So in my sewing tip of the week, episode number 10, I show you how to put your book together. And this is my little Bible. I refer to it all the time. Well, I hope I have cleared up some of the mystery about sewing machine needles. Now, if you're interested in other sewing tips of the week, I have a lot of them. I have over 100 of them, and they really have a lot of valuable information in them. So you want to scroll down to the description section and click on the word show more or the down arrow, and it's going to expand open, and you will see a list of tutorials you can look at. You can look at a playlist of all my tips of the week, and there will be some beginners sewing projects down there. Also, I have cross-stitch tips that come out every month, 1 or 2 a month. So if you've been thinking about learning how to do cross-stitch, or it's been a while and you want to catch up again, check out those cross-stitch tips. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram and check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.